In this video, I'll be revealing the 5 things that smart retirees sell to get ahead of 90% of their peers who remain financially stuck. Through working with more proactive retirees who made strategic selling decisions, I discovered that the difference between retirees who feel secure from those who feel stuck, it isn't really what they bought, but it's more about what they sold or they got rid of. That's exactly why I'm making this video today, to show you the 5 strategic sales that simplify your life, reduce cost, and free up cash flow, while most retirees end up holding on to assets that drain their retirement wealth. So let's get right into it. So number 1 is oversized homes. One of the most common questions that I hear from retirees is, should I sell my home or should I just stay put where I'm comfortable? And honestly, there isn't one right answer, because a home isn't just a financial assets, it's memories, it's routines, and the relationships around you, because you got a sense of familiarity and community around you. And that matters, especially in retirement. But here's the part that most people overlook. Even if staying makes emotional sense, it's important to look at the financial weight that maybe comes behind the scenes and you're quietly carrying for many years. Large homes, so even the ones that we love, they come with ongoing maintenance, rising property taxes, higher utilities, and a never-ending list of projects that seem to just grow as our energy and our income start to slow down. Now, downsizing doesn't automatically mean selling your dream home and moving across the country. It can simply mean right sizing. So adjusting from maybe what made sense when you had a busy household to what truly supports your lifestyle today. Just the other day, I was talking with someone about this exact topic. They started listing off all the incredible upgrades that they made for their new kitchen, the roof, the energy efficient windows, the remodeled bathrooms. And by the time they'd finished, I completely understood why they said, this is a no-brainer, we need to stay here. And in their case, it probably is. They've invested in making their home work for them, to make it comfortable and efficient. And again, it's familiar to them. But for other people, that story can look very different, right? Sometimes those same projects, they never end. And instead of enhancing freedom, they quietly chip away at your time, your energy, and your cash flow. That's why it's worth stepping back and asking, is this house still serving me, or am I serving it? Some retirees find that if they sell their things in a timely manner, they might lock in equity while markets are up or strong, and that can free up funds for experiences that they're planning to have for their next chapter. Others decide to stay put, but to make smart adjustments. The key isn't whether you sell or stay, right? It's really about whether your home is working for your retirement plan or quietly working against it. Because over time, maintenance costs rise, property taxes rarely fall lower, major repairs, roofs, HVACs, remodels, they've all got a way of showing up right when you least expect it. And that's where most retirees get caught off guard. So before you decide, ask yourself, is my home helping to create flexibility, or is it tying up wealth that I could be using more purposely? The retirees who tend to be ahead of the pack, they're not necessarily the ones who sold everything. They're the ones who look at their home with both their head and their heart, and they make the decision before it becomes a financial burden. Deciding whether you sell a home, it's like often much more about emotion. But now, deciding what you should sell inside of other things like this next one, your portfolio, that's all about clarity. So number 2, we're going to talk about underperforming or overlapping investments that create a portfolio drag. Okay, and so talking about this one is really talking about things that are quietly holding back your portfolio. And I can't tell you how often I met with people who have a half dozen mutual funds or target date funds, and they all own the same stocks or similar stocks, and they're charging similar fees. And when you actually dig into it, they're basically paying for more duplication. Those old target date fund style of portfolios that used to work 20 years ago, well, they're often still structured for growth accumulation, not retirement income. And that's a big difference, because when you're working, growth and diversification, it makes sense. But as you get closer to retirement, your focus shifts from building wealth to using it efficiently. So overlapping investments, they can really make it harder because they cancel each other out. They create tax inefficiencies and add layers of management that you don't really need. By selling those underperforming or redundant positions, it can help you to simplify your portfolio. And simplicity is powerful, right? It allows you to rebalance towards investments that are designed to support you taking income in the future, not just chasing performance. It also means fewer statements to track, fewer hidden fees, and fewer surprises when tax time comes. Because let's be honest, retirement shouldn't feel like you're managing a small hedge fund. In one of our offices, we've got a sign that says, "We work hard to keep things simple." And that's because simple almost always works better than complicated. I mean, let's face it, there's already enough complexity when it comes to money. And here's the other thing. The more complicated your portfolio is, the harder it becomes to make withdrawal decisions. So when you're taking regular income from your investments, complexity doesn't help you, it hurts. And when markets get volatile, the retirees with those clean, streamlined portfolios, they're often the ones sleeping better at night. So the goal isn't just to sell the bad investments, it's to sell the unnecessary ones. So you prune them strategically so that every position in your portfolio's got its defined purpose, either to produce income, to protect against risk, or to provide stability. So when you strip away the noise, your portfolio becomes a lot easier to manage and your income planning becomes far more predictable. And in retirement, predictable isn't boring, right? It's freedom. Now, investment overlap can create this inefficiency, but this next one we're talking about, you're not going to like this, but idle recreational toys that drain cash flow because of ongoing maintenance and storage costs. And this next one hits close to home for many retirees because it's not really about the money at first, it's about memories. For years, you've dreamed about that boat, that RV, or maybe a second car sitting in the garage, the one that was supposed to mean freedom for you. And at some point it did, right? It represented adventure, family trips, weekends on the water. But somewhere along the way, that same asset has started to turn from freedom into a sense of responsibility or maybe even a burden. And here's the truth, okay? Even when those vehicles or toys, they're sitting still, the costs, they're not stopping. Insurance, registration, maintenance, storage, they all keep adding up, quietly draining your cash flow month after month. And I have to kind of level with you personally. This one really resonates with me because I love recreational toys. Like for me and my family, it's not just about ownership, it's about the memories that they create, right? The experiences that my wife and I are able to stage with our family. And we're suckers for sunsets on the lake or trail rides through the forest on a crisp fall day. Those moments matter. But I always use a litmus test. How important are those experiences to us right now? And how often are we really getting to have them? Because if the answer starts leaning towards not enough, then I know it's time to reassess. And I'm not afraid to unburden myself the moment I see the scale tip, right? When the cost and the responsibility start outweighing the personal joy and satisfaction that you get from it. The truth is, the problem isn't owning something that you enjoy, it's owning things that no longer earn their keep. Selling those idle assets early while they still hold good resale value can be one of the smartest moves you make. You know, they rarely go up in value, they almost always go down in value. And so that means the longer you hold on to it, the more expensive it becomes relative to what you're actually getting from it. So for many retirees, selling those idle assets isn't about losing something, it's really about liberation, because every dollar that's tied up into something that you're not using or getting joy from, it could be a dollar fueling something that you care about even more. So now you have a sense of what asset optimization really can look like. If you'd like a little extra guidance putting it all together for your own situation, I want to encourage you to click the link below. We put together a short video. It's pretty straightforward that walks you through exactly how to optimize your entire retirement plan from top to bottom. So be sure to check that out. All right, number 4, tax-trapped accounts. So let's shift from visible assets to something less obvious. Tax-trapped accounts like 401ks, and traditional IRAs. They look great on paper, but here's the reality. A portion of the balance already belongs to the IRS. And the longer you wait to deal with it, the bigger their share can become. So at age 73, required minimum distributions kick in, forcing withdrawals, whether you need the money or not. And every dollar is taxable. So that's why waiting often backfires, because as your account grows, so does your future tax bill, pushing you into higher tax brackets and even increasing taxes on Social Security and Medicare premiums. Smart retirees, they don't wait for the IRS to decide when they'll pay. They use lower income years early in retirement to take controlled withdrawals or maybe do Roth conversions. So they're paying taxes on their terms while rates are more manageable for them. So the goal isn't to avoid taxes, it's to control them, because proactive planning today can save you thousands later and give you more freedom with your retirement income. Okay, now we've talked about taxes and how they can sneak up on you. But there's another place that retirees often lose money without realizing it, and that is old insurance policies. Over the years, many people collect life insurance or supplemental coverage that really made perfect sense during their working years, but not all of it is still a fit for you once you retire. I see it all the time, retirees paying premiums for policies that no longer serve their original purposes, right? The kids are grown, the mortgage is paid off, and the financial risks that you once were protecting against simply aren't there anymore. Meanwhile, those policies, they can quietly drain hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars a year in premium. And in many cases, the performance or the cash value growth inside of older policies just doesn't line up with your needs today. And that's why it's worth taking a fresh look. If your policy has built up cash value, evaluate how it fits into your bigger picture, whether it's better use of that value, keep the policy for its death benefit, or replace it with something that will serve you more effectively. The goal isn't to cancel coverage just for the sake of it. It's to make sure every dollar tied up in insurance is working toward what matters most to you, because smart retirees make sure every dollar they spend on protection is still giving them the value that they intended. Insurance that once provided peace of mind shouldn't become a burden. So if your needs have changed, your coverage should too. What's powerful about everything that we've covered so far, the home, the investments, the recreational assets, the tax planning, even the insurance, is that none of them stand alone. Each one of those moves creates a benefit on its own. But when you start connecting them, that's when the real magic happens. You see, most retirees, they make these decisions one at a time, reactively, usually when life forces their hand. But people who get ahead, they don't wait. They coordinate. They understand that the timing of the sale of their home alongside of investment rebalancing, tax planning, and insurance optimization, it's not just a checklist, it's a strategy. Because when those pieces line up, the benefits start to compound. It's like fine-tuning an engine, right? Each piece works together, making the entire engine run smoother. And I'm curious to know which one of these areas feels like the biggest opportunity for you right now. Maybe you've already made one of these moves, like selling a home, simplifying your investments, or reviewing your old insurance policies. Do me a favor, let us know in the comments, because your story might spark an idea or give somebody else the confidence to take that extra next step and take some action in their own life. It's always interesting to see what people have to say. Because the next step, the one that truly separates confident retirees from anxious ones, is seeing how all these individual decisions fit together to create something much bigger. Really a coordinated selling strategy that can put you ahead of 90% of retirees. So let's take a look at how this works. This is all about moving you from being a person who reacts to a person with a strategy. Let's call it strategic asset optimization. It's not about selling everything you own. It's about understanding which assets are helping your retirement security and which ones are quietly holding you back. So we're going to start with a comprehensive evaluation. You want to take a very clear-eyed look at every major asset that you own and which ones drain cash flow, increase stress, or add risk. And once you know that, you can plan when to make each move, because timing matters. You want to sell or restructure during the windows that minimize taxes, maximize value, and align with your overall income plan, not when you're forced to by circumstances. And so from there, The goal is coordination, connecting each sale or adjustment so that every decision sort of supports the next one. And that's how you create a retirement plan that's efficient, flexible, and sustainable. The focus isn't just on growing wealth. It's on improving cash flow, simplifying your lifestyle, and keeping more of what you've worked for. Because at this stage, how your money works for you matters more than how much you can stack up on a statement. And that really requires awareness, timing, and often the right partners, professionals who understand how to optimize retirement assets, not just accumulate them. And when you get this right, something amazing happens. Your decisions stop feeling like one-offs and they start feeling like they're part of a complete, confident plan. And that's what puts you ahead of 90% of retirees. Not luck, not timing, but strategy. If you want help developing a plan that puts you ahead of most retirees through things like smart selling decisions, click the link below. You can watch a detailed video that we've created, and it walks you through exactly how to build your dream retirement through strategic asset management. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.